Hello, I'm Ismene Gizelis from the University of Essex.
I'm Steve Pickering from Brunel University London.
And I'm Henrik Urdal, Director of the Peace Research Institute Oslo, PRIO. And together we just published a paper focusing on migration, environmental factors and conflict.
It is called Conflict on the Urban Fringe, Urbanization, Environmental Stress and Urban Unrest in Africa.
In this paper, we're specifically focusing on some of the more understudied types of conflict: riots, demonstrations and protests.
These, we argue in the paper, are distinct phenomena from other forms of armed conflict.
Because there are other factors underpinning them and because we find them in different locations.
Our focus is on Africa, and we're looking at some parts of Africa which have previously been overlooked.
Rather than looking at either the urban centers or the rural periphery, we're focusing on something in between.
We call it peri-urban areas, and we can describe it as
rather like the ring donut around the urban core.
We divide Africa into grid cells and we look at 14 years of data
to try to piece apart the factors underpinning riots, demonstrations and protests.
We want to study whether environmental and demographic factors have any impact on these forms of conflict. And we find that drought has absolutely no impact on urban unrest. But when we look at population growth, we find that there is an increased risk of urban unrest in peri-urban areas when there is high population growth. And we don't find this effect in other urban areas. This is an important finding because we know that urbanization is generally associated with an economic and political and social development. But when we have high levels of population growth in peri-urban areas where there is a lack of infrastructure, this is something that might be associated with increased risks of conflict.
So that's the paper. The title again was Conflict on the Urban Fringe, Urbanization, Environmental Stress and Urban Unrest in Africa.